We're back for another episode, another late night, and we have a couple lovely ladies with us. And you guys know, before we get to the introductions, and I know you guys are excited to know who they are, right? I am too, right? As everybody knows, I don't really get to interact too much before the show, so I'm excited to know who they are as well. But before any of that happens, we got to let you know how we're making this all happen. And that's by our sponsors here, the people who are helping making this show go, right? And that's one of the people, Vegas Has a Heart. As you can see the hat right there, they are a company that provides free heart screenings for athletes of all levels, whether it's youth athletes, middle school, high school, college, it doesn't matter. They put on camps all across, well, Las Vegas right now, but they're moving across the nation. They have places in Los Angeles, they have places in Denver, and soon we're hoping that they can provide free heart screenings across the nation, right? And these are some people that we're proud to be sponsored with, as well as Telson Tequila, right? Please drink responsibly, but have fun. And if you're going to have fun with Telson, right? And that's what we want to make sure that you guys are knowing about. Now, outside of that, if you're looking for some more resources, some ways to be able to connect with people that are like-minded, maybe you're an athlete, maybe you played a sport in your pastime, go ahead and join the Locker Room. It's the first sports marketing community for athletes of all levels. We're looking out for all of you guys. We're going to not only give you some fun like we have tonight here on the Late Night Show, but we're also going to give you some education. Like we had a great talk earlier today. I can't wait to release that one to you guys. But without any further ado, we're going to get right into it, right? I think we've talked about everything that I needed to talk about before we, really get into the show. And I'm excited to really get into know who you guys actually are. So how we're going to run through it, I'm going to go through the intros, kind of get you guys' name, a little bit of information about you. I'll ask the question that I ask every woman that's on the panel. And then we'll get more into our discussion. Sound good?
Sounds great. Sounds good.
All right. I like it. We'll start right here. What is your name?
My name is Nadia.
Nadia. Okay.
Yes.
And where are you from?
I'm originally from Oregon, so I've been here for a few years.
Okay. All right. So not visiting, you kind of
I
living
live
here now.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, okay. Well, hey.
For now.
I like it. I still consider myself a tourist, but all right. You said you're from Oregon. Go Ducks. Are you a Oregon fan? Know anything about the colleges? Anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll move on. No worries. No worries. What is your age?
I am 34.
Okay. And what is your highest level of education completed?
I went to school for culinary.
Okay.
Culinary arts, and that's my field I'm in now.
Nice. So you got a degree in culinary?
Yes.
Dope.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also have my own catering business on the side.
Okay.
Delish.
Hey, Delish Catering.
Yes.
Sweet. That's the picture that the profile was tagged in the picture. So you guys want to know a little bit more about it, check it out. It's on the profile already. But Delish Catering, and it sounds like you've been doing this for a while now. Did you grow up like as a child cooking and things like that?
I did with my family, my mom, my grandmother. So it's something that's rooted, something I've done. It's a spiritual connection as well. So
that's dope. Okay. All right. Well, I'll ask some more about that in a little bit,
Okay.
a little later on. Another question that we like to ask is, what is your relationship status?
I am dating.
Okay. So currently in a relationship?
Currently in a relationship.
Awesome. How long has that been going on for you?
It is been going on for a year. So.
Okay. And where did you guys meet, per chance? We're not digging too deep.
We digging.
Okay, we digging. That's what we're here for. But I want to make sure to
digging.
help these guys out. Did you guys possibly meet? Not necessarily a place. You don't have to give the location if it was an actual physical space, but more so, was it in person or was it online?
It was in person.
Okay.
We met in person.
Okay. Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
Authentic.
Yeah. Hey, look, there's hope for you guys out here. That's still happening.
It's still happening.
There's still some authentic relationships going on out here. And was it like a bar? Was it a mutual friend? Church?
No, I actually met him in Crossing. So it was distant crossing.
Like a cold approach. He just walked up to you and said something.
Yeah. And I liked it. So
you heard it, fellas. Yeah. All right. Now there we go. I'm never going to be somebody that is arguing with you on that. Right. Mm-hmm. The last question that we like to ask here is, have you ever been flown out? Now that you're in a relationship, right? I'll more so ask about like with your boyfriend or
mm-hmm.
whatever you would call your significant other for your relationship. Did he ever fly you out to visit him while you guys were recording, or were you guys already in the same space?
We were already in the same space, so no flown out.
All right, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna ask more because I don't want to, pry any further. Okay, perfect. We'll move on to the next one, and we'll have the more conversations about that. Let's say question as we go further. But I believe I do know your name, but so the audience can know it as well. Miss Lady in Red.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Sarah, okay. Where are you from?
Originally from the Chicago area, but I've been here almost 9 years now.
All right, both of you guys are locals. All right,
Yep. This
all
way.
right, like it. And what is your age?
27.
Okay, what is your highest level of education completed?
High school, and then I went to cosmetology school as well, and then I have my license.
Okay, so does that let's say entail to what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I do a lot of hair and makeup too, as well as trade shows, which is my main thing, brand ambassador work and sales.
Oh, nice, nice. So are you more of like a brand ambassador, like a model for the trade shows, or are you more so like doing your hair work, like the cosmetology?
Originally it started out with modeling, then got into the brand ambassador work. I've always had the cosmetology license, like a year after I moved here.
Okay, all right, sweet, sweet. Just hitting all the facets of it, should we say?
Yep, all the freelance work. So
There it is,
thankful
little
for
hustler.
that.
What is your relationship status?
Single.
Okay. And then the next question that we'll ask, because we kind of went through all of them pretty quickly. Have you ever been flown out?
No.
No. All right. Perfect. So you guys both would have a perspective on this that I think will be different than the other women that we've had a conversation with. Do you think if you were ever to be propositioned to be flown out, it might be interesting for you because you're in your relationship right now, but let's just say you weren't, right? Don't worry, bro. He would never do this to you. She would never do this, excuse me. If you were propositioned to be flown out, do you think it's your obligation to have sex with him?
It depends on where it is in the relationship.
Okay. All right. Go further on that.
Just how you feel about them. I mean, maybe if it's the first time meeting them, depending on the situation of being flown out. If you've talked to them before, if you haven't,
Yeah.
first time meeting type of thing.
Okay. So like if it's your first time meeting, then you would be like a little more open to or less?
I'd want to get to know them first.
Fair.
That's just me.
Okay. Understood. All right. And what about you?
I can kind of agree with her, but I mean, I don't think it's an obligation, but I don't understand why you wouldn't want to.
Okay. No, I understand what you're saying
I mean,
there.
if you're in a relationship, depending on how long you've been talking to this person or courting this person, I mean, why wouldn't you want to, engage and get
Fair.
intimate in a new city, a new place? I mean, what would be stopping you?
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think that's a great perspective to have. And quite honestly, most of the times when this proposition comes up, it's not necessarily when something is formalized as a relationship yet, but maybe the guy is affluent, or maybe he just is in another city and wants you to be there with him. And he'll, put out the idea, hey, why don't I just bring you out here? It could be early on in the conversation sometimes. Sometimes it could be later on, like what you were discussing there. But the timing, with what you were saying, Ms. Sarah, the timing actually has a big factor for you on if you're feeling more quote unquote obligated, right? I know that that's an interesting word, right? And it's a word that is used, let's say, purposefully to try and get the conversation moving forward. But I think we're on the same page of what we're looking for. What about you? The timing is very important, should we say? I think that's what you were going at.
Yeah, and getting to know them, and it's not just some random person flying you out or something.
Okay, all right. It sounds like you wouldn't take the flight if it was just some random person to begin with.
No.
All right, but let's put it in the position where it is you're taking that flight. It's someone that you at least feel comfortable enough to take the flight with, whether you're dating them or not. Does that change your perspective on the timing mattering, or are you still feeling the same?
Feeling the same way until
Okay.
I get to know them there in that city.
Okay, and what do you say this key word that we've been hearing over past episodes? Would you say that the vibe is something that you'd have to feel out for a little bit to know if you're going to make that move?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I love that you said that. Maybe you can help us figure that out. We've been trying to find some tangible things that we can describe as the actual vibe. So I'm hoping you can help us, and the gentleman that'll be watching this show, to describe what do we feel the vibe is. So from your perspective, can you give me any tangible things that you think is the vibe?
Somebody that shows that they really care about you, really wants you to be there with them, and how much they appreciate it.
Okay. How could they show that they care about you?
Just by being there, making every effort to make the plan, follow through with what they say.
Okay. All right. So essentially like kind of creating the date or
Yeah.
creating the experience, whatever that might look like, and then kind of following through with actually doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. It wasn't really giving us exactly what we were looking for because it wasn't something like direct on what we were saying the vibe is, but I appreciate you giving that input because don't worry, nobody else is giving anything tangible yet either. But it looked like Ms. Nadia had something she was about to say.
I just want to say, if a man is flying you out, he's already interested, and
Absolutely.
you should be interested as well.
Yes.
I mean, what is we doing?
We're adults.
Yeah, we adults, and I mean, I wouldn't. I do agree with there's a time, but that time would have already been vetted if he's flying me out at that point. I think as a man, that's showing the initiative. Like, oh, okay, I want you to come spend some time with me. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's already the vibe. The vibe is already there.
Created from him
Created.
actually kind of
I mean,
propositioning.
There would have been some conversation. The flow would have been there. So
I understand what you're saying here, and I think that though you guys are seeing it totally differently, I think quite honestly, when it comes down to it, it's the same.
Yeah.
I think it's the same. Quite honestly,
I mean, I think it'd be the same for the man too. Unless you just flying out women for.
We not. It's not happening. Trust me, we're not. And I can help expound on that a little bit more by asking a quick question here. Do you believe that men and women can be platonic friends? I'll start with you.
Me?
Yes, with you. Sorry.
Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that you can have a male friend. I don't necessarily find it necessary when you're in a relationship, like to have new male friends. Now, if it's an old male friend before the relationship, then yeah, but just to be having new friends, I don't find it necessary.
Why don't you think you should get new male friends after a relationship?
I got a friend.
Okay.
That's my time.
All right.
I don't have free time to hang out with someone else.
Sure. Okay. All right. All right. We'll expound on it a little bit more. But Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, I do agree with what she's saying.
Yes, that men and women can be platonic friends.
Yeah. And then if you are in a serious relationship, I mean, I wouldn't go out and be looking for more male friends. If it happened to come about, then sure, but it's not like I would go further with that.
Okay. All right. So with these platonic friends, do you think that if given the opportunity that the man would move forward with sexual advances? AKA, if you gave him a shot, would he fuck? That's the real question here. If you actually gave him the chance, do you think that your platonic male friends would actually take that shot? We'll start with you, Sarah, and come back around.
I guess, yeah, depending on the person and the situation.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So pretty much he's not necessarily just a platonic friend. He definitely does want to fuck. But we'll come back to you and we'll go deeper into that answer for a second. We'll come to you for, your answer. If you gave the shot, do you think that that man would actually take the shot? No.
I don't think
so. Okay. All right.
I think the friendship itself is something to enjoy. So
Okay. All right.
I wouldn't even try.
Of course you wouldn't, right?
No,
You're in a
listen,
relationship, right?
Even if I wasn't in a relationship, if it's a friend, I think that you should stand on. That's not a friend. If you're over here doing some extra, extra activities, no, it's not a friend.
Well, I'll put it like this: it's rare that men and women have friendships in the ways that you guys are describing, because there's going to be either a sexual attraction or B, some type of value exchange where you guys are helping each other, or he actually does want to fuck and you're just not letting him, right? And whether you let him or not, that's not what we're talking about here. We're more so talking about, does he actually want to fuck? So to come back to you and why I was saying we're going to dig a little deeper in that, why I say that he's not actually a quote unquote true friend is because oftentimes they will say whatever, whenever, just to make sure that you still feel comfortable and happy enough so that over time, maybe he'll get a chance to be able to succeed on his actual goal, right? Does that make sense on why he's not actually your true friend?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being stated, do you still think that you have male friends?
Yes.
Even though they do want to fuck?
I'm not saying all, but.
Okay, fair. The ones that don't. Do you think that do you think that they really don't, or because they're in relationships, or B, is there a value exchange?
I mean, I feel that we have a fair friendship between us. So,
what are some of the? Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel that it's a fair friendship, and basically we exchange values as being friends, as I would with a female as well.
Okay, so you think the friendships are very similar to what you have with females?
Yeah.
Are these men gay?
Some not.
Okay, all right. For the ones that aren't gay, right? Because those are the guys that I'm more so describing here. For the ones that aren't gay, what are some of the things that you guys share in common?
Hobbies.
Okay.
Work we've done.
Okay. What are some of the hobbies?
Going to the pool, lake, things like that in the summer.
Okay, fair. More leisure type things, being able to be in a place where we can actually get, let's say, some more interactions created.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Totally understand. All right. Not going to come too hard on you because I understand where you're going on this, and I like it. Quite honestly, I think that the friendships that you've developed, whether they have a sexual attraction to you or not, right, you're keeping it in a certain position, should we say? And that's often how it goes, guys. Just to let you know that more often than not, the women will be able to hold the boundary on what the relationship is, because more often than not, the guy is trying to get sex. And he's going to try to do whatever he can, build a relationship however he can to be able to achieve said goal. And then after that, he'll decide if he's going to be able to, let's say, give a relationship. That's how the mind typically works logically. For some other guys, they take what they can because as men, we have a different, let's say, life experience when it comes to the sexual marketplace. Women have the option of having sex with who they'd like. Men have the, let's say, life of having sex with who they can. It's a totally different experience per se, because there'll be often times where a guy might have an attraction to a woman, but she doesn't reciprocate, meaning he's not going to be able to move forward. But it's rare that a female has that type of attraction towards a male and she's not able to take advantage of that. Does that or make sense? And we're all on the same page?
It makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So when it comes to relationships, you guys are kind of like alluding to it. Do you think that you should have male friends if you are in a relationship as a female?
I personally think that you shouldn't have no new friends.
Okay. What's the difference between new friends and old friends
'Cause
when it
those
comes to you?
Those are vetted people. Like, how can I just get rid of a friend? Like, they are true, a real friend.
Okay. All right. So you're coming from the premise that, these guys have been vetted. They
Yeah.
definitely either A, do want to smash and they just are staying in their place, or B, don't want to.
Yeah, they don't want to.
Okay. All right. One or the other. All right. Cool. I understood. And you've been able to kind of like, do you have those conversations with your boyfriend about them?
Yes.
All right. I love that. Do you mind if I ask what he does?
What does my friend do?
No, your boyfriend.
My boyfriend?
Yeah. Don't have to give like a specific job, but like kind of like the industry or anything of that nature.
Yeah, he's security.
Okay. All right. Cool. So he's out here providing and protecting.
Yeah.
There we go. And to you, because asking the same question, Sarah, do you think that now that we've had that conversation about platonic friendships and, kind of like where men stand when it comes to those platonic friendships, do you think that females should have male friends when they're in relationships?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think that they should go out and maybe make new ones, but yeah, the same thing as she's saying, to keep the old ones that you have. And I feel that women learn a lot from men too, that they wouldn't learn from other women.
Okay. I don't disagree with you on that. I definitely think that women learn a lot more from men than they would from women. Why wouldn't you just choose to learn from the man that you're with instead of other men?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily get rid of friends that I had before too. So just remain friends with them, see what I can learn from them as well.
Okay. Would you spend less time with them?
Yeah. I mean, I would be with whoever I'm with the most time, definitely. So.
Okay. Understood. Now, when it comes down to like, let's say open time that you have, right? Because athletes, right? This, kind of who we're talking about, guys who they're bringing a lot of money in, they're able to provide the lifestyle, and you're able to live a good life, give you a great family, things of that nature. But you might not be able to have 24 hours a day with them consistently, right? So you might have a lot of free time in that moment. Do you think that opens up the opportunity for you to then have male friends and that should then be accessible? Or do you think that your stance kind of like stay the same? You shouldn't be bringing in new male friends, or, just should, case in point, do things change on your perspective when it comes to dealing with an athlete in that situation?
No, I think you should get you some hobbies. There's
Okay.
other things to do than be up under a man. So get you some hobbies, invest in yourself, some friends, stay busy.
All right. What are some of the hobbies you would say that women should be able to get?
Like whatever they are more so into, if it's health conscious or like I don't know, like I actually so I have a dog.
Okay.
I might join a dog group or something, find something, but you don't need to be around because your man is gone. He doing what he need to do. Find you something that you need to be doing.
I like
I
it.
don't think you need to be up under another man.
No more needs to be added. What about you, Sarah?
I agree. I think that there's plenty other things that you could do, and either volunteer if you have the extra time, or if you have kids, spend time with your kids, take care of them, put your focus on them, and then your husband whenever he's at home.
Okay. I love that. I love those answers, quite honestly. And this is a great panel. And I'm hoping you guys are listening in because this is very different than what we've been able to hear, in some past episodes, but I appreciate it. That actually leads me to a different type of question. It seems like in today's day and age, we are often demonizing women who want to be families and, kind of like stay at home moms, maybe just look at their family, should I say, wives and mothers instead of just being baby mamas out here having fun. It seems like that life is more celebrated. First, I'll ask, have you guys seen that as well? Or are you guys seeing a different perspective? I'll start with you, Nadia.
Well, I'm sorry, I couldn't. What did you? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, not a problem. This seems like, as of now, being a mother and being like a wife and having a family is being demonized. And what's more celebrated is being a single mom, being a boss babe, being able to take care of things independently on your own, right? First question was, am I the only one seeing it, or are you seeing that as well?
I don't really see that because I think people want a sense of structure. I think that's what a family would provide, the structure and stability.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see that.
Okay.
In my circle.
Okay. All right. So you're a friend circle.
Yeah, I think it might have to be the circle of people that you probably would have to engage with to see that. But
yeah, and just to get more clarification, I'm just more so speaking about in social media, in culture, movies, TV shows, things of that nature, than my specific friends.
No,
yeah. But just to give more context, and when you have more context, is that like change your answer? Because I know you were talking about your friend circle.
No, I don't think that. I wouldn't agree. That's what I think people want that.
Okay.
I just think that's what's probably being pushed, maybe.
That's more so what I'm asking. I think we agree that people want that. I'm asking more so what's being seen.
Yeah, I do see the dysfunction, but I don't think it's reality. So I think that is being pushed.
Okay.
I wouldn't think that that's what majority of people necessarily want. So.
All right. I think we're on the same page. What about you, though, Sarah? Do you think that that's something that's really seen in the culture right now, or am I that kind of low?
Yes, I agree. And then I've heard from my friends as well, some that have waited that they wished longer or waited longer to be in relationships that were serious until they were older or the age that they are now. And then kind of had more freedom. And then some that wish that they were in serious relationships already.
Oh, wow.
Still in their 20s. So
yeah, they're kind of like already talking to you about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I hear both different perspectives and from people in general I work with. So
do you see like the same perspective what she was just describing, in the sense that most people still want to have a family even though their actions might say otherwise?
Yeah, I feel like a lot on social media people are posting things like about freedom and everything, but really I feel like they want the families and they want the kids eventually, even if they're not saying it. But some probably really don't. So it just depends on the person. But
okay, yeah, absolutely. I think that there are some people out there that probably don't. Right. I think they're in the minority. I think they're in the staggering minority, to be honest. Quite, just generally speaking, most people do have love for other people and they kind of want to create a legacy and a family and want to be around others. That's just from what I've noticed. But that was the first question, like kind of like what we're seeing in the culture. And then the second part was, do you think that right now that your friend group or the people that are in your social circle, so that kind of like was going to take me where you were answering, are doing things when it comes to the women, are doing things to attract men that are going to provide that family structure?
Yeah, I do. I see that. Well, I see that the women that's in my circle is trying to have a sense of balance, running their own businesses, still working, and also having a healthy relationship.
Okay.
So I do see that women are, I think, still having that level of independency, but still, wanting to be in a relationship.
Okay. I understand what you're saying here. Like you're seeing that there are some women that are kind of like still doing what they have to live an everyday life, but want to remain open to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Are these women, obviously, from what you're saying there, it sounds like they're single, and they're like looking for relationships, or were some of the
they're-
women's there in
They're
relationships
in relationships.
and they're just trying to keep them healthy?
Hmm.
Okay, I understand better now. Okay, cool, perfect. Sarah, what about you? Your friend circle, do you see your friends, or not specifically like your people, just people that you kind of engage with? Don't want to put your people on the spot. Are they doing things that are going to attract the men that are going to be able to provide a family structure?
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of my friends, and they're in serious relationships or married, and it's going really well for them. And they also waited until a little bit later, some of them too, to make it serious and get married. And I really look up to them in relationships. So. And then other friends that are single are still dating and waiting for the right one, but taking all the right steps, I feel. So
Okay, all right. When you say waiting till later, what is that kind of like age in your mind?
well, I have some that got married, one as early as in her early 20s, and then that's all going really well. And then some that have just dated throughout their 20s and then get more serious towards 30.
Okay, fair. I understand that. And that's a pretty cool perspective there. What are the things that you were saying that like are those taking those positive next steps? I believe you used a different, terminology, but I think that's kind of what you're going towards. What are some of those things that you see the women are doing to be able to take those next steps so they can attract the men?
Just really taking care of themselves, seeing their worth, and when they go out on dates, if they feel there's any red flags, not going back or really looking into the red flags and saying what it could be.
Okay, so seeing their worth, what does that entail? Can you guys help me understand that?
Just somebody that really makes them feel special. If they say they're gonna do something for the date, they follow through with it.
Okay, all right, just kind of like being a man of your word.
Yeah.
That's pretty straightforward. That's pretty simple. It's a low baseline. I hope you guys are actually meeting that, bro. But what about you? Could you give us like some ideas of what these positive next steps that you're seeing your friends doing or have done to be able to get in committed relationships or stay in committed relationships? What are some of those things?
I believe it would be setting standards and standing on business when it comes to that. It's also, I think, a lot of women that I see self-reflect or hold themselves accountable.
Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. Because at first we were just kind of like speaking in like I like to call womanese, right? Where it's just stuff that we don't really understand what you're actually saying, right? Like I get it, but I'm telling you, a lot of these guys don't get it in order to how to replicate it, right? When you're saying setting standards and standing on business, we don't know what that means, right? Like I get what you mean because
Okay.
we're speaking the same language here, but they don't, right? So, but then you kind of like went in a little deeper and kind of like, like what she was saying, doing what you say, right? Being somebody who's honorable. And like when you brought it over to the women, they're holding themselves accountable. And the fact that you brought that up kind of like must mean that you guys have seen, well, I'll start with you and, go over to you because I won't assume for you not, excuse me, Sarah, women that aren't taking accountability for what they're doing. Have you seen that a lot in women that you've encountered, should we say?
I think they do. They do. I think they're doing the work for themselves, and then also they're involving their partners. And I think like involving their partners in that journey to, do what's needed for themselves. If it's some self-care, having somebody that allows you to take that time for yourself or whatever it is that you want to do, if it's a new hobby or, so you also, I think I see that these women have partners, they want to see their partner thrive and give into that. So.
Okay. All right. You took me on a couple different places there. So
Okay.
I had to
Come back.
Yeah, I had to come back. So I'll start it here. In a relationship, who do you guys see is the prize of the relationship, men or women? I'll start with you, Sarah, and come back to you.
That's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's both equal if you make it equal.
Impossible. There has to be somebody that is a little bit more of the prize than the other. This psychologically speaking, in any relationship, somebody's going to love one more than the other. They call that the adorer versus the adoree. And that's just the kind of like how relationships typically work. So let's bring it back to you. All right. I know that was a great political answer. We did have the political debate tonight. But if you had to choose one, who's more of the prize in the relationship, men or women?
I just think then it depends on the person, whoever likes the person more. 'Cause sometimes it's been where the guy likes the girl more, and sometimes the other way around.
Okay, that's a great response there. For a relationship that's actually going to be, should we say, beneficial long term, more often than not, who would we think would be the prize in the relationship, the man or the woman, in general?
You would think that hopefully the guy would like her more. I don't know.
Okay, all right. So for your answer, the woman's the prize.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What about you?
I think the woman is the prize.
Okay, all right, perfect. Can you guys give me a reason on why the woman's the prize? I'll start with you this time and then work my way back.
And that's on like I was thinking about it while you was asking her. Like, I think a sense of I wouldn't want to say chase, but I think there's a little bit of chase to it. Men chase, and that's like cat and mouse. It's the prize. I mean, it's the structure. I mean, the man might be the head, but the woman is the neck. You can't turn your head. So I just look at it as a woman as a prize.
Okay.
Yeah, structurally sound,
In that first analogy you gave, would it be the woman as the prize or the pussy?
the woman.
Like, all right, yeah. I think we both know. He was chasing that pussy. Yeah, that's what he was chasing.
Come with it.
Yeah, sure. All right.
It comes with it.
You got to think about that a little bit.
But I mean, as women, we don't. You say the prize of the pussy, but we don't want dick. Like,
of course,
we don't want that too. So,
of course, absolutely,
so,
of course you do.
I mean,
but we were talking about the chase. I don't see
okay.
much women chasing the dick. But hey, if they are, hit some guys up in the DMs. I'm positive I got a list of men that would love to hear that you're chasing them. I got a list, right? So yeah, but I'm gonna come over to you in the same question there. If women are the prize, can you give me some reasons why?
Well, I think you both answered it, but yeah, I wouldn't be just chasing or wanting to be chasing after a guy. I would more so want him to be chasing after me. I don't know. That's just me.
Okay.
Certain situations.
Okay. All right. No, I understand where both of you guys are going. You would rather have a man show interest, aka lead the interaction of the relationship going further.
Yes.
Fair. I still look at it a little differently on who actually is the prize. I'm looking more at what entails being the prize, right? So I'll kind of bring it to you this way and see if this like jolts a couple more thoughts, right? When it comes to like who is the prize, I'm more so looking at who is the person that is bringing more to the relationship to help keep the relationship as a viable, sustainable thing for the family, right? And when it comes to the man or the woman, do you guys have any thoughts that add a little difference towards who you think brings more to the relationship?
No.
No, still the same?
Woman, yes.
Okay. What about you?
It depends. If the man's the one providing, then I guess essentially it would be the one bringing the money in. And as long as the woman is the one at home taking care of things, in my opinion.
Okay.
Making it equal to both.
Got you. Okay. I see what you did there. Leaning towards the man if he was providing, but if she's at home, now it's back equal.
Yeah.
Okay. Got you. Even though there's a big difference in what's actually being brought in. Again, this doesn't change like what your actual value is as a human. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about more so in a relationship, and then we get into dating. We're talking about more on your sexual marketplace value, if we're not going to say anything, right? Like how you're viewed by the opposite sex, not how you're viewed as a human, right? Because we're all viewed equally in the eyes of the Lord. Hallelujah, right? So, what we're more so talking about is like in the relationship and in the eyes of the opposite sex, how is each other viewed? When it comes to the relationship with the man, I'll start with you, Sarah, since I've been coming with you, Nadia, to begin with a couple times. When it comes to a man that you're looking for, would you rather have a man that is stronger than you?
Yes.
Okay. Would you rather have a man that makes more money than you do?
Yes.
What about more competent, like intelligent, able to teach you things?
Yeah, I wouldn't want someone who was really dumb.
Okay. What about somebody that was taller than you?
Yeah, preferably.
Fair. And lastly, what about somebody that was just like generally more, let's say, to put it in a good term, should we say, more able to just be more of a communitarian, like able to create opportunities with other people, networker.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay,
that's what I enjoy doing too.
fair. Okay, so if you did find that guy, he'd be a great guy, right? And he'd be able to bring all of these different things to you. Would it be fair to say that in that situation, he would be the valuable partner of the relationship?
Yes.
Okay, and so what we're saying is, if you were to get your ideal guy, he would be the one that's valuable.
Yes.
Okay, fair. Now let's move it over to you, Nadia, and we're going to kind of run through the same line of questioning. All right, would you prefer a man that was taller than you?
Taller, yes.
Okay, what about more competent, like intellectual, able to teach you some things?
I don't think that is a one thing or the other. I think we can both be teaching one,
Sure,
Uh,
there'll be some situations where you'll be able to kind of like give him some of your experiences, but in general, would you rather him to be, more competent in things than, or would you rather be the person that's more competent in things?
I don't know if that's realistic, but I think I would prefer for that individual to, yes, but it's not realistic.
Oh man, that's sad. Why do you think it's not realistic to find a guy that's more competent?
I mean, because there's things that I can learn from that individual and they can learn from me.
No, absolutely.
So, I mean, there's certain things that I've learned now, that grounds me is as far as, a spiritual realm. And there's certain things that I find that I'm giving when it comes to a financial. So I think that's where the balance in the relationship would come from. I don't think it could be one or the other. What would be the point if you have somebody that knows everything or vice versa, if the woman knows everything? It's like, oh, okay.
No, absolutely. I don't think that there's a time that you're never going to be, especially if you're building a partnership, that, try to say a relationship where you're kind of like growing with somebody, that you're not learning from them. You're going to be learning some things. However, right. I would hope that you're not with a woman that you can't learn anything from. But I would also hope, like what you were just saying and what Sarah had said as well, that he's able to teach you things probably more on a consistent basis, on about more things in life, possibly because he's experienced a lot more things in life when it comes to like a vast variety of them. So I think we're on the same page of more competency, and then we'll go down to more finances. Would you rather a guy that you're going to be dating to be making more money than you?
Um, it would be nice, yes.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair, the ideal guy. And then I guess the last one that we had just asked there, networking. Somebody that actually has the ability to connect and create opportunities.
Definitely. But I think it's nice to create your own opportunities because you're gonna have your own, thing that you want us to do.
For sure,
So,
for sure. And that actually took me into a crazy question, like, of why, when it's brought up that we're going to be doing one thing, that the rebut is like the exact opposite, right? Just because some conversations might be said, and again, we're not having all these combos here, but I'm sure you guys have heard the same thing. Like, if somebody's saying, "Hey, I don't think that you should be working all the time," the rebut from the female perspective was like, "Well, what do you want me to do? Just be in the kitchen?" It's like, why is it always to go to the opposite extreme? Can anybody give any like insight onto why that happens? Whether it's you, Nadia, whether it's you, Sarah, because he kind of did it a little bit right there with your response. Like, obviously, of course, you don't want a dummy, right? Of course, you don't want
right.
somebody that's going to be, you want to be able to make your own opportunities. Of course, you're going to be doing that. You're a human and you're an entrepreneur, right? So that's never going to change. But still, you're still going to want somebody that's making more opportunities, right? But oftentimes, when questions or statements are brought up, the rebut is usually a defensive from the extreme, right? Like, hey, I don't want you to have a job. What? You want me to be in the kitchen? Like, why is that the first combat? Could anybody give me any insight on where that comes from? What the logic in that might be? Help me understand, please, because I'd love to, because it's happened to me multiple times in combos.
I think it's just more so about being fair, that if the guy's working all day, that he kind of wants to come home and have things done for him, which I kind of understand from working all the time myself. It would be kind of nice to be able to come home and have some time, but I understand and I can see from both perspectives. But some women actually that do stay at home want to get out and work too, but it just depends on their situation and if they have kids or not
Sure.
responsible for them.
Sure. Have some kids. You stay at home, please. Raise the kids. Do your duty. Let's stay within those bounds, right? Like, we all have duties here, right? But I think there is no answer to what I was saying there with the defensive part, like having to go into like the extreme. I don't think there is a clear response. I think that just comes to the person. But I love what you were saying there, Sarah, in the fact that there's a balance in what we have with these relationships. You might not be doing the exact same thing that your husband's doing, aka maybe he's providing, bringing in all the money. That doesn't mean you need to go out and find a job to help him bring in all the money. You can help him by using your positive skill sets to be able to fill in the gaps where he's not great at, aka the family, right? Because I'll keep it straight up with you guys. If when I have a daughter, because I don't yet, I'm not going to dox myself and say what family I do have, but when I do have children, if I take my child to a daycare and it's ran by all men, I guarantee we're leaving. Because that's not a natural skill set of what we have as men. You guys didn't give me a face as if you would do the same. If you took do you guys have children, by the way? No. So if you had a child, would you take your child to a daycare ran by all men?
No.
Okay. What about you, Sarah?
No.
All right. And we can all feel comfortable saying that, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So then that's because we all have strengths that we are naturally gifted. And being around children and being communitarian is not the strength of men. That happens to be the strength of women. I think we should be able to accept the strengths of each other and not just put labels on them like quote unquote gender roles, but being able to just help each other when we're building a relationship. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
All right. And that kind of like takes it back to where I was asking the question on who's the prize. Because when it comes to the relationship, you guys can already tell what my opinion is. The man is the prize when it comes to the relationship, because without a good man, you won't have a good relationship. That makes sense? You can have a good relationship in the sense of it can be something that is moving forward and productive for the familial unit, even if you don't have a good woman. Because if you have a good man that's going to be able to be there to provide for the family and keep a structure going, everything will still move forward. However, if you don't have a good man, it doesn't matter how good the woman is. Sadly, things are still going to crumble. I wish I could, make this up, but that's just what I've seen from, the different experiences and the different stats out there. Do you guys have a different opinion on that?
That's why I say I can't see it just one or the other, because even you say, okay, you got a provider or a man is bringing in the money in that situation. At the end of the day, most of the time it's the woman that's allocating the money, paying the bills, or running the household, knowing what needs to be paid, what doctor bills need to be paid, what food need to be. So I can't agree that the man is the prize.
Okay. All right. I hear where you were going with that. And I think that would be most experience that maybe you have seen, right? Because I know that that's something prevalent in the Black community. But that is not something that's prevalent in other communities, should we say. And that's because it doesn't often lead to success. If we look at who's the largest national holders of the debt, it's women. It's typically how it goes because spending comes from the emotions and the emotional decision-making process that women often go through. So when you have a woman who is leading that decision-making process of your finances, it typically doesn't go in the best place of production. So that's usually why that isn't going to be something that leads you to great success. I've seen it happen where it did go towards the demise as well, having a Black female, shout out to you, family, but it led it down to the same path of demise. But that's kind of where we part ways on that. Because, yeah, you're right. I have seen it happen like that, but doesn't mean that's what's going to lead you towards success. Quite often what does lead you towards success, where is the man who is the provider, also has sense enough on how to lead the finances of the family, able to take responsibility for what he's doing.
It's important. I wouldn't disagree with you there.
Okay, fair. And so I've seen that a lot of the guys in the community don't have that. They don't have responsibility of the finances. They don't have want to take accountability for their actions.
Tools.
There you go. Or the tools. And they don't search to look for it. Because maybe if we were living in 1970, I'd be like, poor guy. He didn't grow up in the right area.
Right.
He didn't have the right school. But my dude, it's 2024. You got a phone. Everybody has the internet. So anything you want to know, you can know. Sadly, most of them are looking up porn and looking up other women that they could jack off to, which is the problem. They're not looking up ways to be able to make more money or to be able to keep that money. And that's on them, which is why we have the daytime show, which you guys need to check out so you can be able to learn how to create that foundation. All right. But I think that's kind of like where that conversation goes, is that, yeah, you're right. Sometimes the family does happen like that, where the man makes the money and gives it to the wife, but more often than not, that does not lead towards something of, let's say, happiness on both sides. Oftentimes, the woman then becomes stressed with the responsibility of having to do that. The husband then is seen as lazy because he's not really putting in as much effort because he wants to just do nothing when he gets home. And that leads to more tension within the relationship.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It sounds so traditional.
Isn't that what we all want, though? Isn't that what we all want? Is what actually worked? What built this entire great country of America is actually the familiar unit. Being able to be traditional, being able to come together as a family for the duty of our children, knowing that we want to create further legacies, aka being traditional. What's so wrong with being traditional?
Because it's not reality. Like
Says
everybody
who?
everybody got their strengths and weaknesses. So it's just like, okay, if you don't have that, it sounds ideal, traditional. Yeah, it sounds ideal, but it's not, to me, it's not realistic.
Okay. What traditional role do you think is unrealistic for women to achieve?
What do I think is unrealistic?
Yeah. Because you're saying it's unrealistic.
I think that, for myself, okay. So, I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That's one of the reasons why I got into culinary. I felt like, okay, this is something I could do. But for me now, I see that, okay, yeah, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I still want to have my business. I still want to, so I think when it comes to tradition, it has to, it has to go with what is your reality. So for me, it's not realistic.
Well, there is no such thing as your reality or my reality. There's just reality.
I hear you.
So it's like when you come to that, that's where you gotta just have those real conversations.
Yeah.
It's going to be impossible for you to be a stay-at-home mom and an entrepreneur because those two go against each other. It's impossible unless your entrepreneurial work is from home.
Mhm.
It's going to be impossible for you to do that from home. But with you going into culinary work, you can do that from
Yeah.
home, right? So it's being able to have the relationship with the man, which it sounds like you do have, that's going to be able to create that structure where you can provide, he can provide the extra gaps, aka be that person that helps fill in the gaps for the finances, so you can have that lifestyle where you're able to continue your culinary work at whatever level it is, and you can
Right.
still be the stay-at-home mom.
But then when you say like traditional, I see like, okay, the cooking, the cleaning, all those things too. I just look at it more as a teamwork. So maybe that's where I get kind of pulled away from the tradition because I don't feel like one person can really do everything. You know, yeah. Nor do I want to do everything.
Sure. When you say everything, what do you mean by everything? You mean like all the home things?
All the housework and I don't want to do all of it by myself.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I mean,
So I think that's where I pull away from a little bit of the
sure, because you're also coming from the perspective of actually having a job, right?
Mhm.
You're actually working and then working,
Yeah.
right? You're just like putting a load onto yourself
Mhm.
again, but that comes down to the choice, right? But then it's like back to the traditional side. It's like choosing one or the other, right? Choosing to not have the culinary job and being able to just pour in that culinary work to your family, and then being able to have a husband that, he'd be able to provide all of the rest, right? Which might open up another, let's say, energy pool because you're not having to exhaust so
Right.
much,
Yeah.
right? But again, that's more so of the quote unquote traditional routes, which is again conversation that you're having and you're going through. But it didn't sound like Sarah, because I want to make sure she's not left out of the combo because I love what her perspective has been so far. It
Oh,
doesn't
you're
sound doesn't sound like Sarah's had any complaints when it comes to being in traditional quote unquote roles.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I see what she's saying too, that as long as you can work and create your own business, but as long as you're able to still be at home and take care of things at home as well. But I do think that a lot of the traditional relationships where at least it's fair where the man works, or even if it's the other way around where the woman works and the man's at home taking care of the kids, I've seen that too. So
Okay. Have you seen that work successfully long term, where the woman works and the man's at home?
Yeah, I've heard of that with some people, and it seemed to work for years that I knew of. So,
Oh, okay. For years, all right. That's all we can go off of. All right, because I've seen that like kind of like play out for a little bit, but then I've also watched the tension kind of grow, and that didn't stay that way for the whole duration, should we say?
Yeah, could imagine.
So yeah, it can get a little dicey, should we say? It can get a little dicey. But no, I think we kind of like have laid that out in like a good little foundation where people can peel from that what they may, right? And I'll just leave it with you guys how I feel that it should be. As a man, you need to do what you can to step up, be the provider, be able to protect for the family that you want to have. And as a woman, it's your duty to be able to help that man do exactly that. And whatever that might look like will be determined by the man that you're with. So maybe for some guys, it doesn't look like being in the home and cleaning all the time or things of that nature. Maybe for some guys, it's helping him with his social media, right? Whatever it might be. But finding a way to be able to come into that relationship and help him be a better man so that he can provide more things for you, I think is the best duties for us in the relationships. Is there any... Oh, it looks like you have something to say to that, Nadia.
No, I
Good.
ain't got nothing to say.
No.
I'm just listening. I'm listening.
Okay. All right, perfect. But I think that that's a good foundation, so we say, for being able to create a good relationship. When it comes down to that, I think it's the choice of the women to pick the right guy. And that's kind of why I have a lot less sympathy for bad relationships on the female side, because it's on women to pick the right men or leave if the guy's not right. On guys, quite honestly, you just need to do much better as being a man. And we have those conversations every day because there's a lot of guys that are not stepping up to the plate on what they need to be doing, whether it's picking up the charge of their mission, being able to actually have something that they're waking up to do every day, or actually, being able to bring in something that they could provide for somebody in the future. They just don't care about those things and kind of live in this matriarchy type of world. However, when it comes to the women, since we have two beautiful women here on the panel, I'm more so trying to figure out with the women that you guys have talked to that are single, what are some of the things that you guys have heard that are consistent complaints of why they're not in relationships?
That the men don't want to commit.
Okay. Men don't want to commit. All right. What about you, Sarah?
I've heard the same things. Some have said that they don't have enough money. I've heard every single complaint that I think you could hear.
What have been the top two?
I would say probably the money, and then just not having enough time for them, or not making enough time for them, or that they see maybe after a certain amount of time that they kind of pulled away from them and they just haven't reached out. The guy hasn't. So
got you. Okay. All right. I can see definitely both sides of what you guys are saying there. One, money, the other, commitment. And then what that sounds like is kind of what we just talked about before. A lot of these guys ain't stepping up, right? That's cool. We'll move that off to the side because my nigga do better. All right. But on the other part, right, where it comes to kind of like what you were saying there and the stepping up. My question that comes to this is with women being the ones who are in charge of sex, right? And men being the ones that are in charge of relationships. Can we agree on the baseline of that before I move into my question?
Yeah.
Yes? All right, perfect. With women being the ones that are in charge of sex and men being the ones in charge of relationships, is it fair to say that complaining about men not wanting to commit or not having the time, it is their fault for that to happen because it is the man's job to choose the relationship, aka they must be doing something wrong for them not to choose them for the relationship? Can we agree that it is something that the woman can be doing better to achieve the relationship, since the man achieved the sex, but the woman did not achieve the relationship? Sarah, we'll start with you and come back to Nadia.
Yes, I guess I can see that.
Okay. What about you?
Same. Yeah, I can see that as well.
All right. Now we're all still on the same page, right? And we're seeing that these women do want a commitment, right? What are some of the things that they can change to be able to get that commitment from the man instead of just being used as what we all call over here recreational use, right? So what are some things that they can change from your opinion to help them be able to get the commitment from the man? And I'll start with you and then come back to you, so.
I think what you said earlier, choosing the right man. I mean,
Okay.
Maybe he just don't want to be in a relationship.
Okay.
I don't know. Communication, trying to figure out what it is that he doesn't necessarily want to commit to. But if somebody don't want to commit, then why waste your time with that?
Okay.
So,
All right. I hear what you're saying. I want to hear what Sarah's going to say first, then I come back.
I mean, I guess, yeah, it could be something that the guy isn't telling the girl on their end, something that they see that they don't like, that maybe they're not communicating properly, that if it was communicated, they could have figured out those issues and seen how to make it better, and maybe it would have worked potentially.
Okay. Yeah. I understand exactly where you're going with that. And quite honestly, when it comes to the communicating this stuff, I'll put it like this in an analogy. And I think you guys will understand it better on why guys don't communicate exactly what they want the girl to do. Right. I think you guys will understand this perfectly after that. Let's say you guys are out on a date, right? You're with your boyfriend, you're with a guy, the ideal guy, right? The one that we just described over there that's making the money. He got 6 figures in the bank. He's ready for you, right? You guys go out on a date, you're walking down Fremont. As often, there's some random people out there. Sometimes there's a bum that walks by every now and then. One grabs your purse and runs down the street. All right, that's the scenario. Would you rather, A, your boyfriend to run after him, trip him up, sock him in the face, grab the purse and bring it back to you, or B, look at you, say, hey, did you see that, babe? Do you want me to go get that? You then say, yes, can you please go get that for me? Then he goes to chase it down and then, gets the purse and then brings it back to you. Which scenario would you rather, A or B? I'll start with you, Nadia, because I can see it all in your face.
I like A or B. It's no C option.
Now, either way, you're getting robbed, girl. Either way.
First of all, no, I don't want him chasing down nobody. I can replace whatever's in my purse. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So you don't even want him protecting you at all.
I mean, protecting me. Is that protecting?
Protecting your belongings. You don't want him chasing you down, chasing that down.
purse.
You okay? All right. She said,
No,
"Fuck
if
that purse."
somebody like came all aggressive in my face, that's a whole nother thing. But my purse, you about to chase out a crackhead? No.
Okay. All right.
Or
Sarah,
whatever their situation is.
she just straight up called him a crackhead and a bum.
I mean, you never know. A lot of people.
No, you never know.
You
But
never know.
you don't know who it is. Could have been a millionaire, but you called him a bum. It's okay. He's now a crackhead
Grab
on the
it.
record. It's
Grab
all
the
good.
purses. Down to Fremont.
You never know. You ripped jeans. Yeah, he's probably a crackhead. You're absolutely right. Sarah, what about you though? Which scenario would you rather?
I would go with A, not the punching part, but I would definitely want him to go after him. And I feel like if we got to B, we'd just be arguing about it and he'd already be gone by that point. So
Yes.
definitely A.
Boom. All right. Thank you, Sarah, for giving us the response. Gonna let all your money go to this crackhead already. It's gonna let him have it. He gonna have a great night off your purse, girl. My goodness. But I think what we're displaying there with the analogy is we would all rather unprompted help, where
Right,
you didn't
yeah.
have to ask him to
No,
go
yeah,
get it, and he would go do it for you, without it. And that comes to kind of like what you were just describing there, Sarah, on sometimes it's not communicated by the guy. Well, that's because the guy, we're simple, right? If there's something that we like, we're probably going to do it 5 times in a row, and you'll notice, oh, he likes wearing Nikes because he wore Nikes every day this week. Maybe if I got him a pair of shoes, I should get him some Nikes. You don't have to ask him, what are your favorite pair of shoes? Because guys are pretty simple, right? But oftentimes it's not seen because it's not necessarily paid attention to, because women come into the relationship looking for their attention to be paid attention to them. Excuse me. They're looking for time and energy to be paid attention to them, AKA, why is he not having enough time for me? Why is he not actually seeing what I'd like? Instead of actually realizing what the guy might like when you're trying to get the relationship from the guy, not the other way around. Does that make sense on why that can kind of lead you to failure oftentimes?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad we're all this Nadia is still stuck on the crackhead.
Yeah.
But it's okay. He's gone now. He got your purse.
Okay.
You let him go with it. It's okay. but I think that's something that I think we can come to like the realization of when it comes to relationships, on more so what our goals are, then it'll be easier for us to achieve and have that type of success, right? If women were coming in understanding that, hey, I actually want this man to want to be in a relationship with me, maybe I should know some things about him, then they'd be able to get the said men. And that kind of takes me to a question that I have before we get into our last question, kind of like get final thoughts on what you guys thought about this. My question is this. Do you see, or have you given or been in an experience where men were being complimented? Do you give men compliments, or have you been around different women that give men compliments?
Yeah, yeah, give men compliments.
Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
When's the last time you gave a man a compliment outside of your boyfriend?
The other day, my coworker had some cologne on. It smelled good.
Okay, dope.
Yeah, it smelled really good. I was like, "What's that?"
Hey, shout out to you, Cologne.
Yeah, you smell good.
Hey, what was it?
I believe it was Creed, but I'm not
Oh.
sure which one.
Shout out to Creed. A lot of guys be wearing that. What about you?
Probably the other day I saw this guy in public and I told him I liked his shirt. So anytime I see a shirt or outfit I like, I'll tell them.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Mhm.
All right. The reason I asked that because I've been able to kind of like talk to a lot of guys as well, obviously, and they don't really get a lot of compliments. Is that something that you guys have noticed as an experience that maybe that men are not getting as many compliments as women are on a day-to-day basis? I'll start with you this time, Sarah.
I think that I've heard that. I know I've heard it somewhere else before too, but I feel I don't really see it as much. But I don't know. I always like to make people feel good about themselves whenever I can. So
I
men or
feel it.
women.
You just out here giving compliments like candy. Great person to be around. I love it, Sarah. Your
Yeah.
smile is nice as well. Great little chuckle. Doesn't give it often. She has a resting bitch face, but when she smiles, it's great. All right, no,
Thank
no, but you, Nadia, same question to you over here. Is that something that you've seen that a lot of men are not getting compliments? Outside of you.
I do see it. There's a few women that is, I guess, like in the vending community that's actually hosted a few events for men's mental health and it's like uplifting kings, like queens uplifting kings. So I have seen more people trying to pour into men.
Sure,
Mhm.
sure.
I
And
mean, it's needed.
okay, and I can appreciate you saying that, right? Because as you guys can see, I'm an advocate for men here, right? I try to help, really bring out the perspective of what the male's experience could be like, which is not really talked about often. So I can appreciate you guys actually bringing that up. And shout out to you, Queens for Kings. I've never heard of that. What is that? You said, did I say it right?
Yeah, I believe it's Kings for Queens, or who runs that? I think it's Body Goodness. She hosts that.
Okay. All right. Shout out to you, girl, out here in Vegas.
Right.
All right. Shout out to you, girl, out here in Vegas. Body Goodness, Queens to Kings. We fuck with it. All right. And I think that's dope, quite honestly, because there aren't a lot of guys that are really being able to get that experience. I was actually having the conversation recently that as you guys might have lived for decades here, that as an attractive person, being able to get compliments from people or getting whether it was wanted or unwanted sexual attraction from people for a long time, there are men that never get to experience that in their lives, right? They don't get to ever have that feeling of being attracted to, or excuse me, attractive to multiple people, right? They might get a lucky shot where there's one girl's feeling them because he said the right thing at the bar, but being able to walk in a room and know that you're getting attention because people are attracted to you, there are a plethora of guys, actually the majority of men, who never get to live in that experience. And it can be devastating for some who don't develop the emotional intelligence to be able to move through the adversities of life as a man. So I like bringing him to, let's say, bring light on that. So maybe if you are going down the street and you do have some different things that you see about a guy that is nice, like you're doing already, hopefully you guys can continue the trend of being able to share more compliments. And you never know. You don't give too many compliments. You don't need to be too nice. You got a boyfriend. But hey, you never know. Maybe one of those guys that you give a compliment to will be wanting to, let's say, step up and be that guy for you.
Maybe it'll be the next one.
You never know. Now, I want to take it to the last thoughts, right? Like it, hate it, love it. What are some things that you'd like to say about the show for tonight? I'll start with you.
Okay.
Don't forgive me, guys. I've been kind of like, as you asked me before the show, we've been doing this like a little bit now. So I did bring up a lot of names. So if I do forget your name at any point, please don't hate me. It's not because I didn't have a great interaction. It's just because I'm talking to a lot of people consistently nowadays. But it was Nadia, correct?
Yes.
And I know it's Sarah. I connected it with the Lady in Red past movie. We'll talk about that another time. But Nadia, love it, hate it. Last thoughts.
I love it. I love the platform. I love your line of questioning. I just don't care for the this or that. I'm not a this or that all the time. I don't think everything is a this or that, but I get it.
No,
It's sometimes it's hard.
Like, it is. And quite honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. Living life through the female perspective would make things hard to make a this or that connection, right? You guys like saying everybody, and there's a gray, but life is often
Yeah.
this or that. It's usually black or white. And when we get in between, that's when we start complicating things. But the complications bring the fun, right? So we appreciate you guys. Trust me, we love women over here. All right, trust me, there's no complaints. But just wanted to bring that up. But it's cool. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad we were able to have our little back and forth banter. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
For sure.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you guys check out Delish Catering. Hopefully I'll be able to get some food at some point and get some Delish Catering for a late night show. Watch out now. You heard it here. She said she got us. We'll be waiting for it. What about you, Sarah? Love it?
And I wanted to thank you again for having me on this. But I thought it was really interesting. I definitely learned a lot from the guys' perspective that I never really heard from guys either. So it was cool to learn a lot.
Okay, yeah, and we appreciate you for coming back. I know you came before. We were running on CP time that night. You weren't able to stay, so I'm thankful that you're able to come back and give us some time and your opinions.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No, absolutely. She's what we call based out here. All right, and all that means is that you're actually in a great frame of mind, and you'd what a lot of people would call, in a great way, a pick me. You're presenting yourself in the greatest way for men that are actually going to want to be attracted to you and want to step up and take you down, girl. I'm just letting you know you're doing the right things. And guys, her DM, her Instagram's in the bio, so shoot your dick pics there. All right, so we're going to kind of like wrap it up off of that. I think that we've had a great show. I think we were able to bring out a lot of things, kind of like, and get some information that the guys will be able to pull from. Hopefully you ladies will be able to pull some of the things from this as well. And next show, Thursday, like we said earlier, we're going to be doing a live show from a networking event here in Vegas. Since we got Big Con right there on the producing right now, he's rocking the buttons for us. Bring me that ticket that's on the table right there so I can actually tell us what the event is. I don't want to give them a terrible shout out. Thank you, my good sir. All right, so we got the support local. This is a VIP ticket. So if you watch this episode and you're in Vegas, hit me up on DM and I got 2 free support local VIP tickets for you guys. But it's going to be Thursday, and it's at the Ahern. So we will be going live from there on Thursday for our daytime show, doing interviews, probably bring a guest out there, might be an athlete that you guys want to get some autographs from. We'll be having that Thursday. And then Thursday night, of course, we're coming back with some more lovely ladies to be able to have another late night show. So we will see you then, and I hope you guys stay blessed, have a great time. Make sure that you tell somebody something nice. And until Thursday, enjoy life. Peace.